My name is Jeff McComas. Student ID number is 03475. And this is my Shenandoah Traditions build kit. When I first took it out of the box, it was bare wood. The brass was still had some mold marks on it that had to be taken down. Barrel was it was uncoated, didn't have any coating on it at all, and I found out later on that from the oils on my hand of touching it, it actually did start rusting, so I had to take care of that before I went on. To start this build, I started with the inletting the butt plate, and using the inletting black provided in the kit. I put inletting black on the underneath side, put it up against here, tapped it at a 45-degree angle this way here with a mallet, and then I would remove it and remove the high spots that showed with the inletting black. The problem that I ran into is I didn't use my head, and I was taking wood from this side as well as this side at the same time. It was my second or third iteration of sitting down and inletting this butt plate that I realized that by doing this, I was moving in this direction here and not in and or down. So I then changed my strategy. I got it solid black line all the way around here. Then I focused on getting my solid line around here. And now I have a good metal to wood fit. It's not the greatest, but for the mistake that I made, I think I recovered very well. Then I moved on to the toe plate. Like the instructions said, I put it down in here, laid it up next to here, and drew my line using a file and a vise. I used the file to taper it down to where it would fit. I had a little bit hanging over, so I went ahead and filed that down so that it would be flush. Now, it's not as pretty as the picture in the book, but for a first time, I can't complain with it. Then after that, I moved on to the trigger. And like I had mentioned in my functions test video, I had some issues with not only the factory inlet being too deep for safe function, it also was too far forward for the barrel tang to line up correctly with it to be as it was shown in the assembly pictures. Because in the assembly pictures, it showed that the trigger, because it rounds just short of here, right here, and it was going to be flush with the wood there. However, with it being flush and touching the front edge, this trigger, or the barrel tang screw, did not line up correctly. So I had to back it up just a little bit to line up the screw. Use the inletting black to inlet the back side of this so it would fit. Once I got that done, then I inletted the trigger guard. I removed brass because the wall thickness here at the rear of the trigger guard is not that thick, and I didn't see that it was necessary to remove any wood. I felt that it was easier to remove the brass than the wood. After that, I moved on to this was a little bit tricky for me. Once I got it drilled, the brass screw, or the steel screw that they gave, and the instructions said to use the steel screw to tap the brass. It worked as far as tapping it, but the brass was still within the steel threads, and it with enough pressure, it eventually came off. So what I had to do was I had to drill a second hole, tap that hole with a regular tap, and use a brass screw inside of this brass here. And that seems to be working very well right now. This is fairly easy. Drill the hole, put the screw through, and it would grab and hold tight. No real issues there. One issue that I had with I apologize for the lighting, with the end cap here, it seems to be touching a small bit, and I didn't want to file too much away, so I got to looking at it, and underneath there the barrel channel is actually been cut a little off center. So on this side here, if it's upside down, it would be the left side. The barrel is hanging out on the left side. One of the flats of the octagonal barrel is hanging out on the left side, and if you look at the right side, it's flush. So there was an issue with that, but all in all, with the issues that we had, I think it turned out pretty good. For my barrel coating, I chose burnt bronze Cerakote, not traditional with muzzle loaders, but I've been doing Cerakote for about 2 years, and I just think that it looks really good with this rifle. The sights, dovetailed sights, they were pretty straightforward. Not really a whole lot of preparation needed for that. Unlike the barrel tenons at the bottom, they needed a little bit of work, so I taped down some 220 grit sandpaper, and using a figure-8 motion, sanded the bottom of the barrel tenons, and eventually, after sanding a few times and trying it, they went in. Drilling through the tenon and the stock itself definitely made me nervous, but it turned out good. One shot, no issues. All in all, I'm happy with the build. I did have to reshape the back end of the stock because of my earlier error in inletting this at a 45-degree angle, so to speak. So this buttstock actually came back straight a little bit more. I, however, tapered that down to meet this brass plate here. And after firing it and shouldering it, I think I'm going to come back in and take this little hump that's here. I'm going to reshape that and try to straighten this down through here. Because as you look down the sights, if you put the rifle on your shoulder to the way it feels natural, you're looking about midway down the barrel instead of looking down the rear sight. So the comb here is still a little too high. I think it's going to need to come down a little bit. But for me, that was my Shenandoah build. It was an awesome experience. I will probably be doing more of these in the future. I have a lot of family members who have fell in love with this rifle, so I think I may get a few pistol kits and do those. So that's been my experience with this build from start to finish. Thank you for your time.